wanted to share with you the stories from our community. I've asked you to share your dreams with me, so I have two people that I'm sharing their stories today. And one is Brad Cochran. I don't have pictures up, so Brad, would you stand so that we can see who you are? This is Brad. Thank you for sharing your story. So one of the things that's happening in our economy and in the world right now is people are losing their jobs. And the idea that, you would work for one place and you'd work there for 30 or 40 years is no longer the reality in which we live. And that, truthfully, most of us will go through a lot of different jobs in our lives. And because of the downsizing and the changing and the way the world keeps shifting, you get attached to one thing and then boom, it's changed again, and it's always in movement. So Brad was sharing with me that he had his dream job with Microsoft, and that job ended last year. And it's not an unusual process to go from one to another. And one of his friends said to him that, you're really good at fine-tuning what your next steps are when a job changes, when there's been a job loss or a job change. In fact, you should write about it. And so he did. He's writing a book called Rinse and Repeat, My Life on the Job Hunt. And he basically lists like 10 different insights and steps that we can follow when the experience happens. So for instance, if someone's just lost a job, it's important to take time to acknowledge it, because we attach a lot to our status and our role of what we do for a living, and to grieve that and to let that go and release it. Other steps he suggests is to believe in the inevitable, that there's this or something better, that God has something better waiting for you, even though it may not appear like that at the moment. Be willing to give and be generous. So if you go for a job interview and it's not really your job, but you know someone who might fit very well, to be generous with that and tell that person or tell the employer about it. And to know what your purpose and your vision is and let other people know, and that's where we get to community, so that the community knows what your gifts and your talents are, so they can help you if they hear of anything. So one of the things I like that Brad wrote was the idea of being clear and focused about what you want manifested in your life. He said the universe is benevolent, and it'll give you what you ask of it. But the point is that it's important that you're clear and concise as much as you can be, because the universe may not deliver what you want in the way that you expect. So be careful for what you're asking and be open to the results. Yeah? Okay. So an example that he gives is that he likes to tell drummer jokes, or used to tell a lot, and he was known for telling drummer jokes. The only one that you shared with me is, what do you do with a drummer on your porch? You pay him for the pizza? I don't know. I didn't say it, he did. So anyway, he was telling a lot of drummer jokes, and he said one day an acquaintance of his asked him if he would help him move his gear. Not saying what gear was, and he goes, sure, I'll come over and help you move. Well, guess what? It turns out the gear was It was a drum set, absolutely. So he's helping his friend move the drum, only he found that he was moving it into an auditorium where there were 500 other drummers, and they were gathering to set a world record for group drumming. And it ended up in the Guinness Book of World Records. He said, through my drummer jokes, I had asked for drummers. And because the universe has a sense of humor, I got 533 of them. So he's having a section of his book in the New Spirit Journal, probably in September, October. And so the idea is that he took something that was a challenge, in his life that, that we go through, where you lose a job, and it's like, so what do you do with that? And by having other people recognize that you're really good at finding the next job, and your attitude is good, and moving through that process, he wrote it down as a gift to share with the rest of the community. So thank you, Brad, for sharing your story. The other member of our community that I want to share her story is Linda Carney, who I think is in the balcony. Are you, Linda? Wave. I don't know where she is. Where's Linda? So Linda said that in January for the White Stone ceremony, her word was inner spirit. Not really knowing what that meant, but inner spirit. And in April, when I led a workshop in dreaming and purpose and stuff like that, so we could join together in dream teams, her dream was to write a book, and she had the topic, and she kind of knew where to send it and had that all worked out and made an agreement with her dream team that she would write a chapter before they met again. Well, they met again, and she didn't write the chapter. And what she realized was she didn't really want to write that book. You know, that really wasn't where she was headed. But she did focus on her purpose, and I want to share with you what her purpose is. She said, my major purpose is to be here in this lifetime. Let me say it over. My major purpose to be here in this lifetime is to help others become masters. To help others become masters, to be a support person for that. So she's connected to Kickstart.com and has helped like 26 people begin to manifest their dreams and their mastery. But what she also found was that in this not wanting to write a book and not wanting to do that, she said when she wrote me the letter was, Karen, this isn't exactly a dream, it's more like an undream. It's very Buddhist. It's an undream. And so she created space in which to live. That was what her goal was. And she calls it the empty bowl. So rather than having to do something, it was learning to do nothing. Now, those of you who know Linda know that in her not doing is more like the doing. She looks like not doing, look like a lot of doing. She does a lot, is what I'm trying to say. She does a lot. She's an amazing woman. So her limiting belief was that I have to do something. Her empowering belief is that I need do nothing. She said that she's found that there have been synchronistic and miraculous events happening in her life, and that she's finding she's more loving and accepting of herself in the empty bowlness. Now, from her nothingness, from her empty bowlness, came the Relic Tour that we are having here this weekend. Her and James have been working on it. So I want to tell you a little bit about what that is and how it kind of came out of, Linda's dreaming and how it affects the community and how it affects the world. It's a part of the Maitreya project. And what it is when one of the Buddha, the masters, are cremated, what is left in the cremains is crystals. There's crystals because they're enlightened beings. And part of the relic tour is the original historical Buddha. His remains are also there, the crystals. And so it is said that these crystals, these relics, emit some sort of transmission that can make a person open to their hearts, their own hearts, and to the hearts of others. So it carries an energy, carries a vibration, and carries an energy that brings us into loving kindness and compassion, which is what the Buddhas manifested in their life. So it's not that they do anything to us necessarily, but there's a vibrational energy that is carried from their life over into their death. So we're having a ceremony here at 6:30 on Friday where we are going to chant and universal dances of peace and just kind of be in that energy. And it'll be here in the chapel all weekend. So I invite you to come and experience that. Why? Because I think not only are we living in strange times where there's strange stories where you can foreclose on a bank, but we're also living in times where, miracles happen and mystical experiences are becoming more the norm. And I think as we open to them as community, we can be touched by that experience. So I've never been around the Maitreya project. I'd never actually even heard of it. I've never been around a Buddhist relic, but I'm open to the experience of seeing what it may be like. So there's always going to be mountains in our life. And Jesus said, if you have faith as a grain of mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move, and it will move. So what's a mountain? What are the mountains that you have in front of you right now that is calling on your faith in God, in goodness, to move it? Because the truth is, the Tao is going to go up and the Tao is going to go down. And yes, we need to be responsible and we need to be good stewards. But, you know, it's life. It's what happens. And we need to not forget about the climb as we're climbing this mountain. You know, we can get so lost in the goal and what's around the bend and what's going to happen that we forget to be in this moment. So life is change. We're changing even as we are in this room right now. We are changing. And the thing that doesn't change is God. So whatever changes are happening to you in your life right now, just imagine like it's the wind on top of the ocean, and it's going to change. It may be really good right now, or maybe it's not so good, but one thing we know, it isn't going to be the same. So I invite you this week to find ways to not give in to whatever is happening in the collective, but rather to be a blessing to it, whether it means putting a statue in front of your house or taking a walk or doing your meditation, but going to that deep and centered and calm place, just like the center of the ocean. It's within you. The Spirit of God and centeredness is within you. Amen.